Welcome to DJ Manager video training presented by Scott Faver. You can contact us at scott@thepartyfavors.com, toll free 866-569-1793, and search for us on Facebook under DJ Manager. Today we continue with contacts and entities, people in your DJ Manager database, part 2. Let's get started. In a previous lesson, we discussed Johnny Adams as a person in your DJ Manager database. Today we're talking about a bride and groom that we're going to be adding to your DJ Manager system, and we're going to call them Tom and Sally Sample Jones. And the first names go here under the first name, Tom and Sally. And in the first field, which is the last or full name, we're going to place Sally's maiden name, which is Sample, because this is our sample, and Tom's last name, Jones. So when you mail something to Tom and Sally, it will be addressed to Tom and Sally Sample Jones. This way it will include her maiden name, just in case the postman has not recognized yet that she's getting married and does not know her as Sally Jones, because it may be her address, in which case you want to include her maiden name so the postman recognizes it, or it may be Tom's mailing address, in which case you need to make sure that his last name is included. So the best way to do this is to simply put their first name as Tom and Sally, and their full last name as Sample Jones, which includes her maiden name, Sample, and her soon-to-be married name, Jones. They live at 123 Sample Way. What a surprise. They're in apartment number 231, and notice again that I have placed the apartment number on the address 1 line. We leave the address 2 line open and available for what we call an advanced feature, which we will discuss in a future lesson. The zip code is a fill-in. All you have to do is drop in a sample zip code, and as you can see, several cities are assigned to this particular zip code. Not a problem. Pick the one that you like by clicking select, and that will fill in the city for you and the county automatically. Next is the entity category. Under the entity category, we are going to refer to them as bride and groom. Now, if it happens that you only have the groom's name, then you could simply say that it was the groom. Or if you only have the bride's name, you could say bride. But in this particular case, we have both the bride and the groom's name. We click select, and we're good to go. Under the second entity category, we're going to enter what is the event that they are celebrating. In this case, it's a wedding, and we click select for wedding, and this allows us to not only track events based on their event, but also from their entity. It's an added bonus. If Tom and Sally came to us from a particular source, such as a bridal show or a online service like respond.com, or in this case one of the services that I use all the time, WeddAlert, we could also select that under the mail category to let us know that they will refer to us by the WeddAlert service. In addition to that, under the third tab, Client Info, we can click here, and there's an advertising source option here, and you could click WeddAlert as well. If it happens to be a new source, you can click Insert, and then simply title the name of the source that you want to add to this list of advertising sources. Select the one that you like, and then the DJ Manager will now track the activities for all of your WeddAlert advertising sources and allow you to tell how many events you've booked from that particular source and whether or not your investment in that advertising source is paying off. The next tab is the Contact Info tab. Now notice that we already have Tom and Sally, Sample Jones information filled in on this general tab. So when we go to the Contact Info tab, we can click Insert to add their name to this list. But we already have their name, as I pointed out, so same as entity covers that information for us so that we don't have to type it in again for a second time. The salutation. We're assuming that they're going to be Mr. and Mrs. If you happen to know in advance that they are Dr. and Mrs., or that she's going to be keeping her maiden name and want to do Mr. and Ms., all of those options are available to you. If you don't have them on your list here, simply click Insert, and then a little box will pop up here, and you can say Mr. and Dr. as a possible option for a salutation if it's not listed on your list. But the usual default for most is Mr. and Mrs. until we know otherwise. The contact type is bride and groom. And the position, if you want to include this, is also bride and groom. The email address that you're going to provide will be bride@hotmail.com. And of course, you get to fill in whatever the bride's actual email address is. This is simply a sample to show you how it works. If you have both of their email addresses or more, you may enter a semicolon and a space. And then here's another example, groom@gmail.com. There's a G for Gmail, stand for Groom's Mail. A little pun there. And then again, even if you had a work address, you might want to say semicolon again in a space and then say bridework@aol.com. And this list is finite, which means that there is a limited number of characters that you can place in the email address field. But in essence, it's pretty long, and so unless they have a really, really long email address, you should be able to get minimum 2, sometimes 3 or 4 email addresses into this one line. And that means when you click on this little blue arrow, it will open up your default email service, such as Outlook, or if you're using an online service like Gmail, if you have it listed in your Windows directory as your default email service, then when you click on this blue arrow, it will open an email for you that will let you then directly send an email to all 3 of those addresses. Web page. Most brides and grooms do not have a web page, but they might have a wedding web page, or they might have a Facebook page. Unlike the email that will allow you to do a semicolon and a space, the web page only allows you to place one web link in here. But once you do, place in a valid URL, that sample happens to be the name of my company, then this becomes a link. And all of a sudden now when you click here on the web page, it will take you to whatever the link is that you've placed in this field. The spouse's name. We already have them listed as Tom and Sally Jones, and that we understand. So the spouse's name can be either. It can be Tom or it can be Sally. It just needs to match the spouse's birthday. So if you know that the birthday that you have here is in fact for Tom, and that this birthday is for Sally, well then you want to match this birthday with this name here. So you would put Sally's name in the spouse's name, but it can just as easily be switched. It's totally up to you as to whether you want to actually always put the groom's name in the spouse position or the bride's name in the spouse position, or if you want to switch them based on whose birthdays you have. Now, regarding their actual anniversary and their wedding date, for us, it's the same. So if they're getting married January 25th, 2011, even though that date might be in the future, we're going to go ahead and place that in the anniversary date. And that way, when it comes time for them to receive an anniversary message from you, something that says, "Happy anniversary, Tom and Sally," or an anniversary reminder, something like 30 days prior to their anniversary, you're sending out a friendly message that says, "Hey, your anniversary is coming up in 30 days, don't forget." Well, if you do anything like that as a way of staying top of mind with your clients, then I suggest that as soon as you have their wedding date, even if it's 5 years in advance, go ahead and plug it into the anniversary field. DJ Manager will do nothing with it until a year after their anniversary, and then they will automatically start receiving your anniversary messages based on that date. Phone numbers. This is an unlimited list, and so you can have as many numbers as you like. And of course, I'm only placing in some sample numbers here. You would place in the real number. Work is the default type, but since this is going to be the bride's number, we'll go ahead and place bride in there. Bride is good, but to be honest, bride's home would be better. Bride's mobile would be better. Or bride's work would be better. That way you know how to respond when you're calling somebody. So if you're calling home, then it can be a very casual message that you could leave on the voicemail. But if it's the bride's work number, then you want to be a little bit more professional. Also, if you're calling the bride's work number and the bride doesn't answer because it's not a direct number, well, then it makes sense to be able to know who to ask for. If you simply had a phone number here and it said work, how would you know whether it was Tom's number or Sally's number? And how would you know who to ask for? You could ask for Tom, only to find out that it was Sally's work number, and they said, well, we don't have a Tom that works here. So, being very specific about who the number belongs to and what the number is for can help you to avoid making mistakes when you're doing follow-up phone calls. Okay, there we go. Just a couple of samples, including things like bride's work fax, bride's mom's mobile, all kinds of things like that that you may want to add here for the phone number option. And now we've clicked OK several times to save our Tom and Sally Sample Jones. And here they are on our list, Tom and Sally Sample Jones, with their address. It says who it was created and what date it was created on. We know that they're a bride and groom, that it's a wedding. They will refer to us from the Wed Alert service. That's repeated here under the advertising source, which keeps track of that. Under their contact information, we've included their birthdays and their wedding date, which will now also serve as their anniversary date, and their phone numbers. All the information that you need to get started to sending them automated email regarding their upcoming event. In regards to their actual event, there is a Client Events tab, and that will be covered in a future lesson. But for now, that covers how to create a bride and groom for DJ Manager. If you have more questions in regards to DJ Manager, you can contact us directly at scott@thepartyfavers.com, 866-569-1793. Find us and fellow users on DJ Manager on Facebook, and we'll look forward to sharing another lesson with you real soon.